As I'm sure some of you may have seen, HTC has announced a new flagship device that they will be coming out in the near future called the HTC One. Very excited for this, but how will it stack up to the upcoming S4, or how does it stack up to even current phones on the market? We're going to take a look at some of the specs, some of the design features as well, and compare them. Hey everyone, Tim here from QBKing77.com. Here just doing a video, giving my thoughts, as some of you guys have been asking, on the newly unveiled HTC One. I'm going to be showing pictures throughout this video as well, so you guys can take a look at what I'm talking about. Right away, you're greeted with a 4.7-inch HD LCD full HD display, 1920 by 1080. So it's a full 1080p display. It also has 468 pixels per inch, which is very good. The display is going to be fantastic, definitely. HTC has definitely gone above and beyond with their build quality of this device. Some other hardware features of the device: it has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 processor running at 1.7 gigahertz. It's a quad-core processor, which is great. I mean, the processor is going to be so quick and fast. It has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Comes with two variants, a 32 gigabyte and a 64 gigabyte, which is good. It does not have any expandable memory. You cannot put a micro SD card slot in it, which is a little unfortunate. 64 gigabytes is a lot of storage, though. And it also has a 2300 milliamp hour embedded battery, so you cannot remove the battery. Seems like a lot of manufacturers are going with this. Samsung seems to be just about the only one that hasn't gone with this route yet. Unfortunate, in my opinion. I would prefer a removable battery. I would have also preferred a bigger battery, maybe even 3000 milliamp hours. But we will see how battery life is once the phone does come out. I'll get to software in just a second, but a couple other of the design features of the device. It is fully aluminum. It's got a full aluminum body, which some people thought wasn't possible just because it's going to interfere with radios, but it seems like HTC has done it. Hopefully it does not interfere with the GPS radio, anything like that. I'm assuming they tested it, and it seemed to, and I'm sure it worked just fine, so that's good. I mean, the build quality is going to be great. It might add a little bit of weight being all aluminum, but I would think it's worth it for the build quality of the device itself. You will also notice that on the front of the phone, HTC is calling it Boom Sound. They have dual front stereo speakers, which I love. Honestly, it's great that they've decided to put the speakers on the front of the device. Granted, when you're watching something, you don't want the sound to be shooting out the back of the device, just because obviously you want it coming towards you so you can really experience whatever video you're watching, any sound you're listening to, etc. It also has HDR microphones, and then it also talked about Sense Voice. I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe it's HTC's version of S-Voice that Samsung has to come out with, maybe Google Now features. I don't know. And flipping the device over, you will see a camera on the back. It has an ultra-pixel camera. It only has 4 megapixels, but don't let that deter you. I think HTC is going to try and break the myth that you need more and more megapixels for a better camera. Amount of megapixels don't necessarily mean that it's going to be a good camera, so I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, this camera has 8 megapixels, oh, this one has 5, so the 8 megapixel camera is better. That's not necessarily always true, but what HTC has said is that the pixels in this ultra pixel camera are bigger, more detailed, so I'm assuming it's going to be very nice. They're not going to say I'm going to release a 4 megapixel camera and it's going to come out with bad picture quality, so I'm sure image quality is going to be very good. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I'm assuming that it will probably be better than most smartphones on the market right now. It also shoots 1080p video on the front and back camera, so it's kind of cool that they've included 1080p video recording on the front-facing camera as well. The power button is on the upper left-hand corner of the device, which I don't like at all. Honestly, I don't know if you guys like that or not, but having the power button on the top of the device is kind of a hassle because you have to readjust how you're holding the device, and I do not like it. I do prefer the power button to be on the sides. So, I mean, that's just a personal preference of mine. Some people might like it, some people might not. You'll also notice that on the bottom of the device, there are 2 capacitive buttons, back on the left, home button on the right. And that's it. That's the only 2 capacitive buttons that they've included. That you've also seen that the branding HTC is down there in the middle, which isn't a button, anything like that. It's just branding to say, oh, look at HTC. Every time you want to try and press a button, you will see HTC, which is kind of goofy. Honestly, they could have just put it on the back or something. I don't know why they had to put that there, or even just thrown another button there. They could have even they could have even included that HTC to be a home button or something. That would have made sense to me. But anyways, there are still ways to get to the menu button and a recent running apps button. If you double tap the home button, it brings up the recent running apps list. If you press and hold the back button, you can configure it to where it's a menu button. That's all within the settings of Sense 5.0. And speaking of Sense 5.0, let's go ahead and talk about the software of the device. It is running Android 4.1.2, and that makes me so mad. I don't know why it's so difficult for manufacturers to reconfigure the latest Android operating system for their current model. I don't know if it's going to be a marketing technique where they release the phone and very soon after they release the phone they're going to come out with a software update to 4.2. I'm not sure. 4.2's been out for a little while now, so I don't know why they couldn't say, especially because there's about a month between now and when the device itself is going to be released anyways. I don't know. Honestly, HTC has always generally been lacking in software updates. Samsung does a little bit better job. They still lack sometimes, but they've been doing a better job at getting updates out. HTC has really been lacking, so I don't know if this is kind of showing how much they're lacking, saying, oh, I'm throwing out this flagship device that's not even on the latest Android operating system. I don't get it. It'll be interesting to see if Samsung's S4 is going to be on 4.2 or not. I think that'd be a pretty good indication on whether or not which company is really looking to make the device last longer and keep pushing out the latest Android updates. Anyways, as I said, HTC has stuck with their Sense overlay and have kind of reconfigured it, called it Sense 5.0. As most of you do know, I am not a fan of Sense myself, at least Sense 4.0 I wasn't a big fan. It is too... it just feels like too much of bloat, and it kind of slows down the system, in my opinion. Granted, some people like Sense. There's nothing wrong with that. But in my opinion, I just don't like Sense. But from what I hear, Sense 5.0 has definitely become more minimal, not as intrusive in the Android operating system. However, there are some newer, different features. One of the main ones being the blink feed. When you go to your home screen, it reminds me of Windows tiles, the Windows Phone tiles, when you unlock your device, and then it also reminds me of the Google Plus app. When you scroll up and down, there's a little animation there. It's okay. I mean, it's kind of goofy, but I mean, it just kind of shows news and stuff. You can swipe over to different home screens as well. I don't know why Blink Feed wasn't. I don't know. I think it's a widget. I'm not positive if it's just an integrated home screen or if it's a widget. I'm a little confused there, but I could see it being useful for some. I could also see it being kind of trivial for others. I don't know. It's an interesting feature that HTC has included. It makes the home screen look kind of cool, but as for functionality, I'm not too sure how that's going to go. HTC also has integrated this new camera picture gallery feature called Zoe, and honestly, I think it's kind of goofy. What it does is kind of takes pictures and videos and puts a little clip to them, an audio and a video clip to them, so you can kind of see a preview of the image or video. I think it's kind of goofy. I don't know why they're kind of really pushing it as an amazing feature. I don't really see it as that. With Sense 5.0, you can also make folders in the app drawer, which is pretty neat. I like that feature where you can drop apps on one another inside the app drawer itself, so you don't have to have the folders on your home screen. You can also have them in your app drawer. That's just about it for the software of it. As I said, I wish it had Android 4.2 and not 4.1. So that's just a personal preference. Of course, I'm sure most of you want that. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about carriers and pricing. I believe on March 15th, the UK is supposed to get the device. That's when it's supposed to be released. I don't know how much it is. I think it's around 500 euros. I'm not positive on that. You'll have to do a little research, a little Googling yourself on that one. As for carriers in the United States, it's planning on coming out to AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, and Cincinnati Bell. You'll notice I did not say Verizon. It is not scheduled to be coming to Verizon at all. Sorry, Verizon owners, looks like you're stuck with the Droid DNA, which I don't know if Verizon is just saying, I want to sell more of these Droid DNAs. It could be. They are pretty similar devices. But yeah, the T-Mobile variant is actually going to have LTE capabilities. I think T-Mobile is planning on rolling out a new LTE network in the near future, so that's kind of exciting as well. So other than Verizon, all AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, the three other major carriers in the United States are getting the device, which is pretty exciting, me being on one of those carriers myself. As for release dates in the United States, I would guess sometime in late March, after that March 15th date. It's speculated March 22nd, but nobody knows for sure. It's just a guess of mine. But for pricing, it is, no one knows exactly for sure, but it's probably going to be $199 for the 32 gigabyte model on contract, and about $250 to $300 for the 64 gigabyte model. So a pretty decent price. Granted, the Note 2 was a little bit more expensive than that. I think it was $250 to $350. But other than that, off contract, my guess is around $600. These are all speculation guesses. You'll have to do some research later once it's officially announced. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. I'll keep you guys updated with that, or you can just check my website as well. I'll keep you guys updated there. But now I just want to give you guys some final thoughts, kind of compare it with some current phones out right now. So the HTC One has a 4.7-inch screen as opposed to the expected 5-inch screen on the Galaxy S4. So they went with a little bit of a smaller screen. I personally prefer 5 inches, but it's just a personal preference of mine. But it also has a 1080p display. I'm assuming the S4 will as well. The processor's fantastic, 2 gigabytes of RAM, you can't beat that as well. So hardware-wise, it's definitely good. It's a step up from the Note 2 right now, which is probably the best specs right now, or maybe even the Droid DNA having a 1080p display as well, which is probably why Verizon decided not to sell the HTC One at the moment. The software, HTC Sense 5.0, isn't anything amazing, at least from what I have watched, read about. It doesn't seem like it's revolutionary in any sense. However, the build quality of the device is fantastic. That is one thing HTC has definitely done right with the HTC One, is with that aluminum body, a very sleek look as well. Those two front speakers I love. I wish it had a removable battery and even expandable storage as well. However, 64 gigabytes is a lot. I still wish there was a micro SD card slot in there. But that's enough about what I think. I want to know what you guys think. Be sure to leave a comment and let me know if you guys plan on getting the HTC One, if you think it's worth it, if you think you're going to wait for the S4. Definitely let me know what you think. Leave a comment. You can also subscribe to me as well. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. All links will be in the description of the video below. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up.